How to thread a needle. In 1 second, easy for the elderly. Hello, this is Tracy from the channel Tracy Tips. For many people, threading a needle is too difficult because the eye is so small, it's hard to get the thread through, especially for older folks with weaker eyesight. That's why today, let's explore together 7 simple tricks to thread a needle in just 1 second, no matter how tiny the eye is. And especially with trick number 2 and number 5, even children can do it. Tip 1. Threading a needle with your palm. Has anyone ever struggled for what feels like an hour trying to push the thread through the needle's eye, but it just won't go? That's because you haven't tried this method yet. With just a small change in technique, you can easily slip the thread through. Start by placing the end of the thread flat across your palm, keeping it steady. Next, hold the needle and position the eye directly over the thread on your hand. Hold it gently so the hole sits right on top of the thread. Now comes the clever part. Rub the needle back and forth against your palm. The friction between the thread and the needle's eye will do the work for you. After just a few quick motions, you'll see the thread naturally slide through the hole. It feels almost like magic the first time you see it happen. This method is especially helpful for older adults or anyone with poor eyesight, since you don't have to stare at the tiny hole or strain your eyes. It's safe, quick, and in just 1 second, your needle is threaded and ready to use. Simple, isn't it? Tip 2. Using the old thread left in the needle. Have you ever run out of thread in the middle of sewing a shirt? At that moment, threading the needle again feels like such a hassle because the hole is tiny and it takes so much time. But don't worry, you can actually use the short piece of thread still left in the needle to easily thread in the new one. First, cut off the thread that's attached to the shirt, but leave the short piece of thread in the needle. Instead of pulling it out and tossing it away, use it to help you rethread. Next, gently separate the 2 ends of the old thread so the fibers open up to both sides. Hold them steady with your fingers so they don't stick back together. Now, take the new thread you want to use and place it on one. Wrap the right side of the old thread around the needle about 4 to 5 times, making sure it's snug. Hold the needle firmly with one hand, and with the other hand, gently pull the old thread upward from the left side. As you do this, the old thread will slide out of the needle's eye, and it will pull the new thread right through. In just a moment, your needle is ready with the fresh thread already in place. This method is simple, effective, and doesn't require any extra tools. Best of all, it saves time, avoids frustration, and lets you get right back to finishing that shirt with ease. Tip 3. Threading a needle with a toothbrush. This is truly a smart and practical way because you only need something almost everyone already has: a toothbrush. Even an old one can be used to thread a needle. Here's how to do it. Place a short piece of thread vertically across the bristles of the toothbrush. Hold it firmly so it doesn't shift. Then, take the needle and position the eye directly over the thread, pressing it gently into the bristles. As you press, the bristles will push the fibers of the thread upward, guiding them right through the tiny hole of the needle. When you see the thread beginning to slip through, lift the needle off the toothbrush. You'll notice a small loop of thread already passing through the eye. Simply grab that loop and pull it all the way through. In just a few seconds, your needle is threaded. Rest assured, this method works even for needles with very small eyes, without any real effort. Anyone who tries it is guaranteed to succeed on the very first attempt. Tip 4. Creating a needle threader with copper wire and a wooden clip. Another lifesaver, whenever you can't get the thread through the eye of a needle, is using copper wire and a small wooden clip. Let's give it a try. Start by taking an old electrical wire or data cable you no longer use. Peel off the outer layer, and you'll find many thin copper wires inside. Cut one of them. Next, fold the copper wire in half so that the two ends meet, creating a small loop at the top. This loop will be the part that easily slips through the eye of the needle. Now, use a small wooden clip to hold the two ends of the copper wire firmly. This helps keep it steady and gives you something to grip. Once that's done, take the folded loop of copper wire and gently slide it through the needle's eye. Thanks to its narrow and flexible shape, the loop will go in smoothly. Next, place your thread through the copper wire loop. Hold everything steady, then simply pull the loop back out of the needle. Just like that, the thread will pass straight through the eye without any difficulty. This little tool isn't just easy to make, it can also be reused many times. Think of it as your best friend that will always come to the rescue whenever you need to thread a needle. Tip 5. Turning a ballpoint pen into a needle threader. If you enjoyed the trick with copper wire and a wooden clip, here's another clever idea that takes it a step further. You can actually turn an ordinary ballpoint pen into a handy needle threader, something reusable and easy to store in your sewing kit. Here's how to do it. Start with an electrical wire that has a copper strand inside. Cut out one strand and fold it in half as shown to create a small loop at the top. This loop will serve as your threading tool. Now, take a ballpoint pen and insert the two ends of the copper wire into the hole at the pen's tip. Press them in firmly to keep them in place, leaving the loop sticking out from the end of the pen. When you press the pen tip, the copper wire stays secure, giving you a steady grip. To use it, simply guide the copper loop through the needle's eye. Slip your thread into the loop, then gently pull the loop back out. Just like that, the thread slides easily through the needle. This homemade tool is not only simple and practical, but also durable enough to use over and over again. The next time threading feels like a struggle, try this DIY pen threader. You'll be amazed at how quick and effortless it makes the job. Tip 6. Threading a needle with paper. Sometimes the simplest things at home can solve the most frustrating problems. And believe me, a plain sheet of paper can help you thread a needle in just a few seconds. First, pick a sheet of paper. Writing paper or printer paper works best. Don't use paper that's too stiff or thick, because it will be hard to push through the needle's eye. Next, fold the paper in half to create a neat crease. This fold will act as your guide. Now, slip the thread into the crease and press it flat so it stays in place. Then, take a pair of scissors and cut one end of the folded paper into a sharp point, almost like the tip of an arrow. Once you've got your pointed end, hold the needle and gently push the sharp paper through the eye. Since the paper is firm enough to keep its shape, it will slide smoothly through, carrying the thread right along with it. As soon as the pointed paper pokes through the other side, tear off the paper tip and grab the thread. Now just pull it all the way through. That's it. Your needle is threaded. This trick is super quick and simple, and no matter how tiny the eye of the needle is, you can still get it done. Who would have thought it could be this easy with just a piece of paper? Tip 7. Using a medicine foil pack. This last trick is really special because who would ever think that an empty medicine pack could help thread a needle so easily? Here's how it works. Simply take a blister pack from medicine you've already used. Cut a small diagonal piece from the edge of the foil and trim one end into a sharp point, almost like the tip of a spear. Then, on one side of the foil, cut a tiny notch close to the edge. This little notch will act as a hook to hold the thread in place. Next, take your needle and gently push the sharp foil point through the needle's eye. Thanks to its firm yet flexible shape, the foil slides through smoothly. Once the foil tip comes out the other side, slip your thread into the notch you made earlier. Hold it steady, then simply pull the foil back through the needle's eye. Just like that, the thread follows right along, and your needle is ready to use. It's really that easy, quick, clever, and almost free. Instead of tossing away empty medicine packs, you can turn them into handy little threading tools. This small hack doesn't just save time and effort, it makes sewing simple, even with the tiniest needle eyes. So now you've discovered 7 clever ways to thread a needle with ease. From using the palm of your hand, leftover thread, a toothbrush, copper wire, even turning an old pen, a piece of paper, or a medicine foil pack into handy tools. Each of these little tricks proves that the simplest items around us can solve the most frustrating problems. No matter your age or eyesight, you now have practical, time-saving methods that make sewing less stressful and a whole lot more enjoyable. Remember, these aren't just random hacks. They're small reminders that creativity and resourcefulness can make everyday life so much easier. I hope at least one of these tips becomes your go-to the next time you sew. If you found today's video helpful, don't forget to like it, share it with friends or family who struggle with threading needles, and subscribe to Tracy Tips for more practical, heartwarming household hacks. Thank you for watching, and I truly look forward to seeing you in the next video.